here's what I've realized about Trump. And by the way, this whole the 114,000 votes for Biden mysteriously popped up in Michigan. It was a stupid thing to screenshot and get excited about. Anytime numbers are reported, whether you're dealing with book royalties or election votes or whatever it is, you can always jump in the middle and grab a screenshot and say, "Oh my God, these numbers are fake." Whenever numbers are being reported, especially digitally, there's going to be moments where it looks odd. And this was like and there was an extra zero in one of the reports, and they had to, and they had from one of the counties, and they had to correct it. It was already corrected, but of course, it's confirmation bias galore for the conspiracy minded people, which brings me to the main thing I've realized. In objectivism, we talk about induction, how you need to learn something inductively from observation, from your own experience to really, really understand it and therefore really believe it, I would say, in using that language loosely. To really know something, rather, maybe is a better way to say it. You learn it inductively. And for years, I've heard people call Trump the conspiracy theory president, and I knew why they were saying it, and I agreed with it, but it didn't seem that important until really the last few hours or so. It just finally clicked. I think it was this Michigan votes thing that you mentioned, and seeing even Ben Shapiro sort of, instead of being the voice of reason, the voice of prudence that he has traditionally been, him and his employee / coworker Matt Walsh getting retweeted by Trump, just throwing in their hat to this conspiracy ring, or adding fuel to the fire, I should say. I realized, like, Trump is the conspiracy theory president. And when you trace back his phenomenon, I think you could basically trace his base, his excited audience, his excited supporters back to like Alex Jones, like the whole 9/11 conspiracy, anti-war, everything's a conspiracy type of people. You can kind of see that type of audience. They're not quite leftist, and they're definitely not into like neoconservatism. They're sort of on this sort of quote alternative right, but they're also into conspiracies and stuff, which in my mind removes them from discourse, removes them from the table of rational players. And I know when I say that, people think I'm being elitist and that I'm stifling discussion and debate. I'm just telling you what I've realized. When people are into conspiracies, we can no longer deal with them. And this is exactly what we've seen in the last few hours, or the last 12 hours, 8 hours, however long this is. The tides have turned in favor of Biden, which is exactly what you would expect when there's so much enthusiasm about early voting on the Democrat side. And on the Republican side, you had Trump saying early voting cannot be trusted. Go vote in person. And also, Trump fans are more likely to not be scared of COVID. So all these votes in the mail are being counted, and the tides have turned in Biden's favor. And what do you hear from the Republicans? Oh, well, elections are rigged anyway. Okay, fine. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. So in terms of what's next, I don't know if populism is here to stay. I don't know what exactly Republicans are going to do next. But there's something about Trump that was always sort of unsustainable, because conspiracy theorists are not rational players.